Joining us now is Bonnie Bruderer, the executive producer of Influencer, a documentary that explores how social media influencers have transformed the advertising industry. Bonnie, good morning and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, the big day here yesterday, Snap, and we also had many guests on, Snap influencers on, talking about how they use social media platform. Why did you decide to make a documentary about this topic?
So my day job is in television, and we produce great small form or short form segments, and we would throw them up on YouTube, and they would do great on linear television, but nobody would watch them. And so I became fascinated about the industry and what was happening, and how somebody with an iPhone, could get millions and millions of views, where we were spending $10,000 to $20,000 producing a show. Mm-hmm. And so I realized there was such a huge market and industry, and I just became fascinated and started to research how they were doing it, why they were doing it, and how the brands were following and now sponsoring many of them.
Does the film explore at all the future of influencers and what that looks like for them? Because there's been some pushback recently that, of course, no one can argue that influencers have made certain agencies a killing when it comes to money and that they have such huge followings, but even Maker Studios. We've seen that it's severed ties here with more than 100 of its influencers that it's worked with over time. So how do you approach the subject of maybe what the future looks like for some of these influencers?
Absolutely. So a couple of things. I saw those trends coming as well, and as I was doing my research, typically now it's the unboxing or holding up a product, and that really is inauthentic to people. And so where we feel things are going, and all the research showed, is branded content. And so working more with an influencer that's created an audience that authentically matches with a brand so that they can get that content out and share it. And so the documentary follows not only the social media influencers, but a lot of tech and media CEOs that are showing the data and the science and the why behind all of these trends.
Was it difficult at all to get these influencers to open up about their business model? I've tried many times to talk to people about how much they're making. Sometimes they will make, over $1 million a year from just branded posts on Instagram, some of these guys. But I wonder if you face any challenges in trying to tell their story, because they want to maintain that veil of authenticity, but at the end of the day, they're still getting paid to put these beautiful posts up.
Sure, yeah. So for us, we purposely went for sort of the middle tier. Everyone's familiar with PewDiePie and Candy Johnson and all of those people. And they're, number one, hard to reach, and number two, extremely expensive. So what we wanted to do is show that there's this whole middle tier that are making a lot of money, and the most important thing there, again, was authenticity and matching with the brands that were funding them, because that's creating the content that people want to consume.
And what is the middle tier to you? So can you break that down for us in terms of who's making what at the top, middle, and at the bottom?
Yeah, so for example, one of our influencers we feature, Offbeat Looks, Camille Johnson, she has about 21 million views on our YouTube channel and is making a significant amount, I'd say 6 figures, from working with some of these different brands that are representing and having to product promotions.
Talk to us too about Snap and what we're seeing going on there. Of course, Snap a big story because of the IPO here just yesterday, but how is that weaved into the documentary? Is it weaved into the documentary, and what are the opportunities there?
Yeah, obviously a significant player, right? Huge, huge news as of yesterday, and also 10 billion video views per day. The one thing, and it's kind of a double-edged sword that we see with Snap, is that it's fleeting content, right? So one of the CEOs we interviewed was Kurt Abramson from Share This, and their research, their survey research showed that content sharing and is twice as important in purchase decisions, so more important than brand or price. Therefore, it indicate that brands are wanting to work with content that's both shareable and sustainable.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to all the different platforms out there, we had someone on yesterday saying that when it comes to ad dollars and ad buyers, he would still recommend an Instagram over a Snapchat. How do you rank them, and what are your influencers like most?
I would agree with that. We work with a lot of influencers that are Instagram, focused. You would say a lot of them are on all social medias, but a couple of them were pretty big players with Instagram. And again, it's really the shareability. And one thing that we really found that was a bit surprising is that although there's so much metrics and data and research currently in the market, there's this whole ripple effect that's not yet definable. So we're kind of at the tip of the iceberg, meaning that there was this one influencer that we worked with. He worked for BMW on this campaign, and he had a post. It was a 30-minute video clip on driving on ice, I think. And 2 days later, he went to a friend's house, and a friend of a friend said, "Come outside, come outside." He had purchased the $80,000 car. Mm-hmm. He didn't like, share, or comment on the post, but yet there was a purchase, a very significant one, from that. So we're really finding that the influencers are really preferring, again, what you can share and what's sustainable.
Did you have any misconceptions going into this documentary about what people are doing as they are creating content for these platforms and what advertisers are doing and what you may have learned from this, from the filming of it?
The most surprising thing I think that we learned was just the graciousness and the authenticity, to use that word again, of the influencers. I think I kind of had a preconceived notion that they might be a little snooty or hard to reach, and literally they were some of the most gracious people. And the ones that we chose, again, started from following their passion, authentically creating content, and then creating an audience, and then the brands approach them.
How do you maintain longevity as an influencer? Because when I think of influencers, I think of mostly teens, maybe a few people really in their early 20s. Is that the sweet spot? And how do you keep the business of your brand growing?
Sure. Well, what we heard in filming the movie is that it has to be fresh. You have to constantly be creating new content. So it is a lot of work, and it's a lot of thought, effort, energy that they're putting into it. It's not just turning on your iPhone and doing a quick, 30-second. In some cases it is. But for the most part, they were extremely strategic, and they map out Camille that we work with, she had 12 goals for this year that she was up-leveling and trying to reach. And so they do put a lot of thought and a lot of growth into it. And for her, an experience that she shared was that when she started, it was out of passion, and she was known for her hair dye and makeup and fashion, but now she's sort of seen as a mentor to others that are trying to get into the industry, so also tailoring her content towards that. And what we heard from a lot of them is that they develop relationships, so they become friends. It's not just like seeing an ad and it's fleeting and you may buy the product or not. These people know what you wore to your prom, they know what eyeliner you're wearing, they know, what your important issues are, because it is a two-way dialogue. And that's really how they're keeping it fresh. They're constantly reinventing that content and then keeping that connection with their audience.
When will the documentary be released, and how can we watch it?
Sure, it's going to be released in the first week of April, and you can find it on like.film.
Okay, exciting stuff. Bonnie Bruderer, executive producer of Influencer, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.